We're going to start the show today by looking at events from last night on Merseyside, where, as Ray mentioned there, 3 people have now been arrested after a protest outside of a hotel housing asylum seekers.
Following some quite significant riots in Liverpool last night, the only coverage of note I can find is provided by GB News. Now, there's a good reason for this. Major media outlets won't touch this stuff with a barge pole. The basic facts at this stage are that an initially peaceful protest against the housing of refugees in a Liverpool hotel became mostly peaceful, which is MSM talk for "fuck me, they have set the police van on fire," when a counter-protest from pro-refugee group Care for Calais joined in the fun. It's understood that the initial group of protesters were there following accusations that some of the people housed at the hotel are suspected of acts of grooming. This is yet unsubstantiated, and if it remains that way, it reminds me of the riots in Portsmouth in the early 2000s, when a well-meaning group of absolute plankton attacked the house of a paediatrician because they didn't know how to spell paedophile. However, if it is in any way substantiated, then surely people have the right to raise awareness. Hence the initial peaceful protest. However, Care for Calais founder Claire Mosley described these people as far right. Nice work, Claire. You sent in your mob to turn a protest into a war zone and then accuse them of being far right. Hope you didn't pay for that diplomacy course. And by the way, if protecting children from predators, no matter how misguided, is far right, then sign me up and everyone I know for the uniform, you knob. What is this obsession with taking any traditional type concern and smearing it as if it's straight out of Mein Kampf? Furthermore, it immediately exposes a giant great lack of empathy. The reason this isn't covered by the BBC or Sky is the same reason Claire Mosley is able to freely make these accusations. Ridiculously, it's taboo to suggest there are grooming gangs, despite all the evidence to the contrary. But not at all taboo to suggest that anyone who is fearful of this is a bigot. If we don't talk about it and continue to ignore it, this will happen. We have become obsessed by identity. I don't care what someone looks like, where they come from, or how they got here. If they are exploiting vulnerable people for their own gratification, we should all be talking about it. By making this an issue of diversity, race, or religion, we are creating safe spaces for wrong-uns. If the refugees have done nothing wrong, they have nothing to fear, because evidently the weight of our legal system is on their side. My advice to the people of Liverpool involved in this is box clever. Don't shoot the messenger, but maybe, just maybe, missiles and fire are giving off the wrong vibe.
Let's just try and piece together what happened last night. So police called at 6:30 to the Suites Hotel in the Ribblers Lane area of Knowsley to what they described as an initially peaceful protest. These protesters, and according to eyewitnesses, there were hundreds of them, had gathered after they heard what were described as claims about the behaviour of some asylum seekers staying in the hotel towards young girls. These are just claims. We haven't been able to verify those, but there was a protest nonetheless, and it started peacefully. What seems to have happened is there was a counter-protest as well by organisations supporting refugees, such as Care for Calais. Now, their founder, Claire Mosley, is reported to have described it as a war zone, so that she was shocked and shaken to see hundreds of what she described as far-right protesters who were organised and violent, in her words, breaking through police lines around 8:15. There were missiles thrown at the police. A police van was set on fire. We're talking about things like bottles, paving stones, rocks and sticks that were thrown at the police, which you can see pictures of. Now 3 people arrested on suspicion of violent disorder, and eventually calm was restored once they closed the roads.
The claim there from Care for Calais, where the founder there was saying it was far right, is there any sort of verification of that? Is that true as well? Just like we don't know what sparked the incident? I mean, this is inflaming the situation by suggesting who it was who started it as well.
Yeah, we don't know for certain that they are far right because only 3 people have been arrested, and the police are making further lines of inquiry as to what exactly happened. So we're still trying to establish the facts. But the claim is that they were far right protesters. The claim is that these asylum seekers did something. There's a lot of hearsay here, and there's very little truth going around. So it's difficult to get to the nub of what's happening yet, and that's what the police will be trying to establish.